Welcome back into the Motor Index, folks. And well, the greatest day in motorsports has come and gone, and we've got a lot to talk about. Alex Palou wins the Indianapolis 500. Ross Chastain steals the Coca-Cola 600. Lot of storylines to talk about. It would be I guess not right for us to not start, given this is a NASCAR channel, with the Kyle Larson double attempt, which, man, it just feels so cursed at this point. I really hate that it had to happen this way, but I unfortunately think that will probably be the last we'll see of that for quite some time. I do think Kyle Larson will eventually do the Indy 500 again. It's just I don't think with the whole NASCAR situation, I just have a hard time seeing that play out while he's a full time NASCAR driver. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So yeah, Kyle Larson gets to his car. It starts drizzling on pit road, delays the start of the Indianapolis 500, and then what do you know on the pace lap? Scott McLaughlin puts it in the wall, delays it even further, and then we get a lap one crash. Pretty much from the get go, the double was screwed. And I see all these IndyCar fans online having a go at Kyle Larson. Even some of the drivers are having a go at Kyle Larson for the thumbs up to McLaughlin as he passed him by. And from what I'm reading, it was his spotter who said the whatever was said on the radio, not Kyle Larson. But besides the point, I will continue to watch the best motorsport in the world and continue to tune in for one IndyCar race a year. Sorry. Anyways, but no, the whole Larson thing goes awry. He wrecks a few, like I think close to around the halfway point. Uh, is what it is. I don't know. It sucks, but I think that this just proved how difficult and how seismic of a feat taking on both races in one day is, and I'm just not sure anybody's ever going to be able to do it with the NASCAR new rules with the playoff waiver and such. So it is what it is. I just want to put it behind me, but we'll get into more of Larson. As far as the Coca-Cola 600, not the best day for him there either, but I guess we'll move on to the rest of this race. For a lot of this race, it was just, at least for the first part of this race, it was absolute chaos as far as pit road, some of the racing. Like I'm forgetting who it was early in the race on pit road catches on fire. You get multiple crew members on fire. You have whoever that driver was hopping out of the car before he catches on fire and throwing his gloves in anger. That was a crazy moment. But then you had Robert Schwartzman ram like four of his crew members on pit road. Luckily, I think most of them were fine. I did see one of them was getting taken away on the stretcher, but seemed to be more of just a foot injury more than anything. But haven't heard what the condition is on that guy yet. But besides the point, and then you get Kyle Larson stalling on pit road prior to his wreck out of the Indy 500, which it was just like I said from the jump, it was doomed. But so much other stuff happened in this race. Joseph Newgarden starting from the back had a absolute charger heading to the front. Looked to be in position when he looked to be on schedule for making it to the front. By the end of that race, I think he was running like 6th or 7th with about 150 laps in, with kind of approaching that final fuel, that final pit stop. Then he gets on pit road, and I'm forgetting what the exact issue was, but his Indy 500 came to a close then. Really unfortunate because it looked like Newgarden was on the verge of competing for something nobody else has ever done. So that's unfortunate, but I think, it just kind of felt like fate, right, with Alex Palou winning the race, with given the season he's having, and him not having an Indy 500, being on this type of run, it kind of just feels right that Alex Palou won the Indy 500. And with once he made that pass with I think about 14 laps to go, Yeah, I know with the situation with the lap cars in front of them, it made for a weird ending, but it just kind of felt like that race was over. It didn't feel like anybody behind him was going to have anything for Alex Palou that day. I would say kind of with roughly 2-ish laps to go, it became pretty obvious that this thing was wrapped up. Um, but yeah, congrats to Alex Palou. Very, very much deserved. Long time coming in that race, and no better driver right now in IndyCar to do it. So, is what it is. But with that being said, let's get on to the best race of the day, which was the Coca-Cola 600. By far the best race of the day, in my opinion. There's a reason we're not even talking about the follow the leader in Monaco. But Ross Chastain, crazy finish here, steals the win from William Byron in the final 10 laps of this race. Um, for a lot of actually for the start of this race, it was between William Byron and Kyle Larson until Kyle Larson, takes the lead, it's leading a ton of stage one, and then right towards the end of stage one, spins out, going over the bumps out of turn four. And that wasn't the complete end to his day. I'm forgetting what did end his day. I think he got caught up in something else, or he had a mechanical issue, but I believe he stayed out a little longer after that, but didn't really matter. He was all the way in the back. Um, Never got back into contention, but did lead some laps on the same day as running the Indy 500. So if there is a consolation, there is that. But from that point on, it was pretty much the William Byron show for a lot of this race. With Denny Hamlin remaining in the mix, I think I saw the stat in that final stint. I don't know if it was just in the final stint or over the whole race. Byron and Hamlin traded the lead 15 times. So really, really competitive racing up there at the front. Though those were really the only two making anything happen at the front. The racing was still really entertaining. We're going to get deeper into some of these finishers here in a minute, but the ending of this race was really fun to watch. Once it became evident that Hamlin did not have enough fuel to make it to the end, then you started to take your eyes off him and look towards Chastain in third. And once it became evident that he was making progress towards the front, it was that slow build until that battle began. And then when that battle began, it was really, really good. And I think, I saw Denny on the podcast, on Denny Hamlin's podcast. He said that he was kind of upset with a lot of people online blaming him for Byron's loss, which I do agree with Denny that it was not his fault. There was nothing on his part that screwed Byron over. But I do see what they're saying because with Hamlin, I believe Hamlin was like either trying to get his lap back or something, and that, disrupted Byron in the lead enough for Chastain to squeeze through there and take the lead. And that was also a pretty aggressive slide job that he put on Byron Chastain, that is. But I think it did put Byron in the wall, but not to the point where it wrecked him or took him out of contention. Well, it did take him out of contention, all things considered, but it wasn't like he was 10 car lengths back, right? He was like 3 or 4 car lengths back, if that, for the remainder of the, 8-9 laps after he passed him to the end. But I see what people were saying, though, because I do think the 11's presence there, though being, I think, getting back on the lead lap, did have an effect on Byron. So it is what it is, but I don't have any blame towards Hamlin with that. I think that was just I think it was actually a pretty clean battle between Chastain and Byron, all things considered. But yeah, so great finish there. But let's get into some of the top finishers. So obviously Chastain and Byron 1 and 2. We already covered a lot of that. Chase Briscoe in third started on the pole. Great. I don't know what his point situation looks like from this race specifically, but it did feel like he was running pretty good for most of the day. So that's great. They needed a solid run, and I believe that's his first top 10 that was not a 4th place finish this season, at least. So kind of an interesting little nugget of information there. AJ Allmendinger, one of the best drives of his Cup career. Wild stuff. I thought for a minute there that Allmendinger um, was going to potentially be in the fight for the win there. Um, Maybe not towards the end, but I thought for a lot of this race, I thought, maybe if something broke his way, he's definitely got the speed, because it wasn't like he just snuck his way into the top five. He was there all day. It was impressive. So crazy run from the 16 team. Brad Keselowski, a guy who I said very much could be in the mix in this race, um, comes home fifth. That Keselowski team has really figured something out, because this is now, I think, 3 consecutive weeks of solid runs for them. And I said it coming into this. I thought they were going to be a factor, having won this race before Brad. In Brad's case, but that team has really gotten some speed figured out, and I do think they're going to be a threat for the next couple weeks, and potentially maybe even stealing a win somewhere, which would be huge for Brad. Given his point situation is pretty much out the door, he needs a win to get in the playoffs. So pretty crazy stuff for him. Chase Elliott, basically about what I expected from him. He was running like around like eighth or ninth most of the day. Comes home sixth. So solid finish for him. This is about what I expected. I would have liked to see some more speed out of him, given how fast he looked at Kansas. I thought he was arguably the best car at Kansas, but it was what it is. He's got plenty more. He's not going to necessarily require a win to get in the playoffs, but I do think if you're Elliott, you do want to at least get a win or two heading into the playoffs, create some momentum. But plenty of time to do that. A lot of tracks he can do that at coming up. But yeah, it's what I expect from Elliott at Charlotte. And then getting into the rest of this top 10, you got McDowell, another solid run for him. I don't really remember much about his day, but anytime you see McDowell in the top 10, that's a solid run for him. Christopher Bell, kind of about what I expected from him. I would have liked to see, maybe not what I would have expected from him after last year, but this is about what I expect from the 20 team, run top 10, if not top 5, or contend for the win on any given racetrack, but let alone the intermediates. So Ryan Preece, 9th place, another great performance from him. Another week of me coming on here and saying that I think Ryan Preece is one of the sleeper stories of this season. Is quietly having a fantastic season for Ryan Preece standards, and I think there is a very legit shot he's going to get in the playoffs. So keep an eye on him. And then rounding out the top 10 was Noah Gragson. Great run for them. They were very competitive all day. I think they were running even better than that at points. But anytime you're in the top 10 for that team, great result. And then as far as some other significant finishers outside the top 10, Shane Van Gisbergen in 14th, his best oval run in his Cup Series career, without a doubt. Denny Hamlin 16th, like I said, they did not get the fuel in on that second fuel can in that final stop. Really screwed them over. Hate it for them. Because I would argue they had just as fast of a car as William Byron. Who knows if he would have been able to hold off Chastain. Man, just think about that. What if we had gotten another installment of the Hamlin and Chastain rivalry in the Coca-Cola 600? I think that would have been really cool, but didn't come to fruition, so it is what it is. And then as far as some other heavy hitters, like I said, Larson DNF'd in 37th. Blaney, another DNF in 38th. Really hate to see that for them. They are really stacking the DNFs, and they should be fine on a points thing. I'd have to go in there on the points standings. I'd have to go in there and look. But, man, if you're Blaney, you can't keep stacking these DNFs. You're going to really need to win a race if you do. But I think that team's too fast to not win a race in the regular season. It's just a matter of, they can't be DNFing every freaking week. So, is what it is there. And then rounding out in last was Jimmy Johnson. So I didn't see how Blaney or Johnson's or even Larson's day ended. I'm forgetting how those 3 days ended. But if you would have told me heading into this that Blaney and Larson would be finishing in the bottom 4 cars, I would have not believed you. is what it is. So, crazy, crazy stuff. I hope everybody enjoyed the greatest day in motorsports. I know I did. And I know that the best race of the day was in our sport, the NASCAR Cup Series Coca-Cola 600. So, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and stay tuned for coverage heading into Nashville this week. Thank y'all. God bless.